Financial Grownup Guide, How to Succeed Going into Business with Your BFF with Noah Isaacs of Bowery Valuation. You're listening to Financial Grownup with me, certified financial planner Bobby Rebell, author of How to Be a Financial Grownup. And you know what? Being a grownup is really hard, especially when it comes to money. But it's okay. We're going to get there together. We got this. Hey grownups, so glad you are joining us for this Financial Grownup Guide. And it's a topic that I have been wanting to do for quite some time. So many of us dream of having our own business, and what could be better than doing it with our bestie? But like all relationships, it gets complicated, but it also can be done, and it can also be pretty awesome. So for this episode, we are going to talk to my friend Noah Isaacs of Bowery Valuation, who co-founded this commercial real estate company with his BFF, John Meadows. Welcome, Noah.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
So before we get into the tips for going into business with your best friend, tell me a little bit about the company. You guys have raised a nice amount of money. And by the way, there is a third co-founder. We should just acknowledge him as well.
Yeah. So it's John Meadows is my co-CEO and BFF of almost 2 decades at this point. But we also have an amazing co-founder and our CTO, Caesar Devers. So there's no way we'd be anywhere without him. So important to shout him out for sure. We've raised a good amount of money. We've raised almost $20 million at this point, and may or may not have a little bit more money coming our way. I can't officially disclose that yet, but things are pretty amazing so far. We feel very fortunate. So team's about 50 people today. About 20 people work in our product design and tech team, and the other 20 people work in our real estate valuation team. So we actually use the technology that we build in-house to empower our commercial real estate appraisers to deliver faster reports, higher quality reports, and lower cost reports for our end clients. And
this business really was born through your friendship, which was born, as you said, 2 decades ago. Tell us about that and how you got from meeting and bonding to business partners.
Yeah, absolutely. We met at summer camp back in Berkeley, California. It felt like we were best friends since the first day we met. Always wanted to start a business of some kind together and had a lot of crazy stupid ideas.
Never say stupid, just they were practiced.
Those weren't my words. Those were other people.
What were some ideas that you had before you came to this?
We had a frozen yogurt ice cream sandwich company that we were trying to get off the ground at one point. So we lived together. And in our living room, we actually had a 25-liter dewar of liquid nitrogen where we would just try making frozen yogurt ice cream sandwiches, like healthy, Kind Bar style ice cream sandwiches that we could then sell to like Facebook's or Google's or any big tech company that wants to buy.
What could possibly go wrong there?
Oh, other than the liquid nitrogen everywhere.
Did you have any household accidents with that? Oh my
nothing
gosh.
serious, but we couldn't, for whatever reason, it never tasted very good. So
that would help.
John and I worked in commercial real estate valuation for about 4 years each. Valued over $5 billion worth of commercial real estate while we were there. So we actually had domain expertise as opposed to dipping our toes in something we really knew nothing about. So this made the most sense. And so we started building with Caesar back in the summer of 2015.
Wow. Okay. So you've come pretty far, pretty fast in terms of this business, but with a lot of history of learning together and growing together before that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk. You did bring to us 4 key things that you have kind of focused on, and you guys have actually written a piece about this. So I think that's interesting. You're talking about the fact that friendship can really be a key element in making a business successful because there is so much that goes into it. It's not one of your points, but I do think we should point out that having that common actual subject matter knowledge of the industry that you both have, but from different vantage points, was the first advantage. You brought, as I said, 4. Let's go through them. The first one really builds on friendship. So your first point is?
First point is trust. I think, especially for a business relationship, but I think trust is the foundation for any successful relationship. Trust that this person is doing the right thing. Trust that they're working to their utmost ability. that's paramount. And especially as co-CEOs, it's so important for us to be able to divide and conquer. So oftentimes I'll be meeting with an investor making executive decisions while John's meeting with a client making executive decisions. It has happened before where we're in two different meetings on two different coasts. So we feel like our ability to trust each other allows us to outperform a single co-CEO in that capacity.
And what you're really saying is not just people might think because you say trust, that means trust that they will be honest. It's really trust in their judgment because you're going to have to make business decisions separately that you both have to live with.
Yeah,
so trusting their judgment.
I think that the trust in the other person being honest is so deep and implicit within our relationship that it's not something that we ever have to worry about. So we worry about the more superficial things like trust and judgment. Not to say that judgment isn't really important, but that just it's important to believe that your partner is also being honest as well. And that's something that cannot be overstated. There's just so much deep trust that we have that we've built up over almost 20 years at this point that it allows us to focus on the things at the margins, not the problems at any sort of core of any issue.
All right. The second thing has to do with what you bring to the table in terms of your skills and your expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in a perfect scenario, you and your business partner would have complementary skill sets. So John and I are generalists in a lot of ways. There is overlap, but what helps us out a lot is that we are able to divide and conquer. My background is in mathematics. John studied history at Penn. He is an exceptional writer. And when it came time to design our product, which is a 100-page real estate valuation report and an appraisal, about half of it is on the quantitative side and the other half is on the qualitative side. So it was really, really helpful for us to separate, and I would focus on the math side and John would focus on creating the right verbiage and help building what today is our natural language generator.
The third thing is something that can really wreak havoc in a best friend partnership.
Yeah, the third thing for us is shared vision and shared values. Shared values is really important, especially when you're building a team, when you're thinking about who are the right people to hire, what kind of people do you want to hire, what is the culture that you want to cultivate, what are the actions that you want to incentivize. That's really important. And then when it comes to building a company, you have to share a vision. And I think that it would be very problematic if John and I didn't see eye to eye in terms of where we wanted this company to go and what this company could be. So it's really important that before you get too deep into an endeavor, you and your partner can agree on what it is you're trying to achieve and what it is you're trying to build.
And the final thing, number 4, is I think this is kind of the magic of friendship. And often this is where it becomes an advantage going into business with your friends because especially with you guys, you've known each other forever. So there is that history built up and that helps with this last tip of yours.
Yeah, I think when you romanticize or idealize going into business with your best friend, it's easy to not really think about all of the challenges that you're going to go through. Most of the friendships that I have been light and airy, and there has been no adversity at all, which is amazing. But when you're starting a business, you are going to be met with challenge after challenge, and it is an absolute roller coaster. And you may not always agree with your business partner, and in this case, my best friend. So being able to work through those challenging times in a way that's constructive is so important, because the one thing that I can say for sure is there will be extremely challenging moments in building a company, and to be able to work through those challenges together is something that is required to have a successful company and to build something special. And it also, I think, has just enriched the relationship that I have with John as well.
Can you give us an example
of challenges?
Yeah, something that you had to work through with it's tough.
I mean, we have Honestly, now it's gotten much better just as the company has continued to mature. But there was a period of time where we didn't think we'd ever be able to raise any venture capital. We went out for our first round of financing. We owed more money than we had in our checking accounts. We had no revenue. We had no users at that point. We took 60 meetings in 2 months to finally close out our initial round of financing. And it wasn't clear that we were going to be able to make it past that. And it was a lot of nights in the office until 2, 3 in the morning. But being able to have that person with you, biking home together that night and waking up early the next morning makes it a lot easier.
Wow, that's very inspiring. You actually brought a bonus tip with you, and this has to do with something. I mean, you think that really everyone listening to you is already doing it to some degree.
Yeah, something that we have relied heavily on is that of role models and mentors. So one of our first investors is also one of our best friends from growing up as well, is Oliver Kramer, and he is the founder and co-CEO of Dos Toros, which is a pretty sizable Mexican chain at this point. But he is co-CEOs with his brother, and in a lot of ways, John is like a brother. But they've helped a lot with forming the way we think about building a company, and also they've informed the way we think about sharing responsibilities and sharing vision, and also being able to simultaneously divide and conquer.
So learning from others that have gone through the kinds of challenges that you are going through now, I think is very valuable. Where can people find out more about you and your partners and Bowery Valuation?
Yeah, the best place to go would be our website, www.boweryvaluation.com. Also, we're active on LinkedIn as well, so if you want to dig deeper, there's a number of articles that have been written, but definitely check us out on the website.
Yeah, you guys have some nice articles that you've written and that outline these kind of concepts and other things, so I think it's definitely worth checking out. Anything else you want people to know? Where else? What do you look at in terms of resources? What are your go-to learning apps, websites? What else do you like?
Other than this podcast, Guy Raz has an amazing podcast called How I Built This. Reid Hoffman has another amazing podcast. Y Combinator has a lot of really good work. First Round has some amazing articles that are written. Medium as well. There's a lot of pretty exceptional resources out there if you want to spend the time to look for it.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This has been awesome.
And big thanks to everyone for joining us. Please DM me your thoughts on this show and what you want to hear more of on the Financial Grownup podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at BobbyRebel1 and on Twitter at BobbyRebel. And thanks so much for being here, Noah, and helping us all be financial grownups.
Of course. Thank you.
Financial Grownup with Bobby Rebel is edited and produced by Steve Stewart and is a BRK Media production.